So we're going to be building a Viking Drakkar or longboat. We got some plans from the internet and now we're going to start marking up our template out of cardboard. So here we're trying to just mark up the keel of the Drakkar. So we made a radius which is about 11 centimeters wide on a 2-foot long Drakkar, so a 60 centimeter long Drakkar. So you can see here there's one radius we've already marked for the front and there's the radius for the back. So that's going to be where the tail and the head of the dragon is going to be. So we just measured a 2 centimeter smaller radius and we're just marking that up because what we're going to do is the keel is going to be about 2 centimeters thick. So we've got enough structure to support the Drakkar when we build it out of balsa wood. Okay, so that's the rear marked up. And do you want to just mark up the front? Now this is just for guidance. We'll probably make the actual dragon's head and the tail a bit thicker, but this is for the main keel itself. Okay, perfect. So here we've kind of marked out the tail, the keel, all the way along, and then kind of the rough shape of the head of the dragon for the Drakkar. So we've got a roughly 60 centimeter long dragon boat. And we're going to start marking out the different stringers.
Wait, Daddy.
So we've started to mark out what we think the hull is going to look like in terms of shape. And now this is important because this will help us to build the cross sections of the hull, and then we can start adding those to the keel. And once we've cut all these pieces out, that should give us the basic shape of the Viking longship. So the first thing to do is to try and square, and we've got a square profile here, so what we're going to try and do is fit a curve to it. So now here we've marked out the kind of rough shape of the top of the hull. We made a little bit of an error, so we actually used a curve that was far too shallow. So what we did was, we used the steel plate instead of which was too shallow. So we got the shield and used the curve on the shield, which was pretty good approximation. So we're actually cooking with gas. So you can see there the curvature of the hull flaring back out and back in again at the ends. And here we've started building the sort of outside of the Viking longship using pieces of balsa wood, 5mm thick. Because we didn't get big enough pieces, we had to cut it into sections. So you can see that the head and the tail of the ship have been cut into sections. And we use this really cool little power tool set for kids, which is absolutely amazing. We're going to start working on the stringers, and then we're going to put it all together, and then we're going to start building the skin of the Viking longship. So here we're preparing to do the rear curve of the ship. So what Odin is just doing is marking a line where we're going to use as our guide to cut. I think that's about 2.5 centimeters tall. So we're going to just cut there. What we did last night was actually put the rear curvature in. So we cut the pieces of wood to shape, and then we used window lean to soften the balsa wood in order to allow it to curve like that, and held it together with a bulldog clip. Now that's not been glued yet, you can see there's a gap between them, but once that's glued and finished, that will be the start of the curvature of the hull. So now that we've cut the wood, what Origin is going to do is going to mark the rough curvature of the hull with using pencil, because that's going to be our guide for the rear of the hull. Okay, now we're going to cut that. So we've just trial fitted the rear of the hull, and it actually doesn't look too bad. If we squish it together, it should be okay. It'll stick out a little bit, but that's fine. We can sand that back. So next, we're going to spray those hull pieces with some window lean. So here we've had a slight accident where one of the pieces of wood kind of broke a little bit, but we've dealt with it, and hopefully this should dry in place nicely and with reasonable strength.